I started playing when I was about 10 years old. I started on the trumpet for about 6 months, but that obviously was not meant to be. And I quickly progressed to the trombone. I had a fantastic teacher down in Cheltenham in the local music service called Tony Shepherd. Um, and I then, after about 3, 4 months, I started in the Cheltenham Silver Band training band, which was my local band at the time. And their bass trombone player had unfortunately just passed away. And so there was a vacancy. And so, aged about 11, I was handed this massive old Bach 50B bass trombone. And that's really all how it fell into place. So I never really played much of trumpet or tenor trombone. It's just been bass, 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 which I realize is quite unusual, but it seems to be kind of going okay. So I've been enjoying it. Firstly, I think a good thing and an important thing to decide is why you're going and what you want to get out of it. Because you can totally go to music college and not want to be a professional musician. That is absolutely fine. And lots of people do that. So, you kind of want to analyze, right, do I want to do this for a job, or do I want to become a music teacher? Do I want to do something entirely unrelated, but I want to study my instrument? And that can help form the kind of first initial decisions around what type of institution you want to go to. And then for me, a lot of it was about the teacher. At the time when I went to the Royal Northern, I wanted to study with Adrian Morris, who was the bass trombone of the Halle. And he was fantastic and had been my teacher for a few years before that. So I just really wanted to keep studying with him. So that informed a large part of my decision. I think almost any of the conservatoires in the UK now have a fantastic lineup of trombone teachers. So you can't really go wrong. But there are specific attributes that you think might be useful to your playing. So you might listen to one player and go, actually, I really want to study with them. And again, that's a good place to start. So I think, that's the kind of the basis of it, is to analyze why, where, and who will make the kind of differences for you in your study. As you know, at the end of the day, we are paying a lot of money to go there now. So it's quite an important thing. When it comes to prep, that's the most important thing for myself personally. Like when it comes to nerves, the only way I can overcome them is knowing that I'm prepared. I don't have a huge amount of what people would like to call natural ability and stuff. It's all about practice room time. So I would just say, make sure you kind of spend a good 2 or 3 months as a minimum before it, because you'll have the dates well in advance. Just preparing yourself, knowing exactly what is going to be required of you, whether that's pieces, scales, sight reading, anything like that, or an interview part, for example, so that there's just no surprises on the day. It's good to, certainly in my head, always eliminate any variables that you might be concerned about, and just really structure your practice towards that. Don't go for anything that is unachievable, but also remember to push yourself, which kind of is a fine line sometimes, but it's definitely achievable. And I think also one final thing is to ask advice of any friends you've got who are already there, already studying, or teachers that have been there, because they will really know the best things to do. And just don't be afraid to ask for help with these kind of things, because it can be quite daunting, but actually so many people do it every year. It's nothing to be afraid of. Certainly. People tend to go for kind of the standard repertoire when it comes to solo stuff. So, for example, in bass trombone land, you might do the Sax Concertino or the Lebedev Concerto in one movement, which I know can be perhaps a little bit kind of mainstream. But I think in music college auditions, you're not looking to reinvent the wheel, really. Like I said, it's good to push yourself, but these pieces are challenging. But what they really want to see is, do you have the basics they're looking for to take you into their department and to build you up to be a fantastic player? So they're kind of looking for this kind of checkbox, as it were. They're never taking marks away. It's always just building you up in this audition to bring you into their department. So, I would say kind of perhaps look at the post-grade 8 syllabus, things that are on syllabuses for diplomas, and things people do in recitals, the kind of standard repertoire that most of us will know. And if you're unaware of them, just ask your teacher or ask friends that are in music college, because that's kind of a surefire way to find out what the kind of expectancy is, really, I would say. Again, just remember that these panels of people, they only want you to do really well. No one ever wants you to not play well and not do your best. And so they're usually always really supportive. It's really clearly set out. There's lots of kind of people showing you the right way to go on these days, and there's nothing to be nervous about. If you are nervous, just make sure you ask questions. Don't worry about getting it wrong. Just go, ask someone, find the nearest kind of important looking person to you, and ask them a question, and don't worry about getting it wrong. Otherwise, just do your preparation. Make sure you've read all the fine prints of the instructions, because the last thing you want to do is make a simple mistake like preparing the wrong piece if there's a set requirement or something like that. Just do all the basics, make sure you're really organized, and those little attributes actually really come across in auditions. And don't be afraid to ask the panel questions. Ask, does the college, for example, do they, in a trombone setting, do they offer early music like sackbut and things like that if you're interested in it? And I think that shows a real good interest in where you're about to study. Research them, make sure you know who the teachers are. Things like that I think are important, because then they know that not only do they want you, but you really want them. And I think that it's kind of a reciprocal relationship. I do think, most importantly, music colleges and any university is just what you make of it yourself. Obviously the teachers and things like that do have a massive impact on you. But at the end of the day, it's you're the one that's got to get up, do the practice, go in at 6 a.m., come back at 10 p.m., whatever it is. I used to do actually 9 p.m. till midnight practice slots because that was when it was easiest to get a room. But those are the kind of things that it's actually on you to make the kind of difference there. So I'm sure if I'd have gone to a London college, that would have also been great for undergraduate. However, I'm really happy with what I chose to do in Manchester.